Well, welcome to another day of Walking with Jesus as we continue our journey in the Advent season towards Christmas and all that that means. Our hope in this time, as we look at the Gospel of Luke, chapters 1, 2, possibly get into 3, is to pause, reflect, and renew the wonder, the miracle, the majesty, the glory of this event that has taken place. To slow down enough to really enjoy the fact that God stepped out of heaven, became flesh, and dwelt among us, that God came near. And this is the miracle of this season, Advent coming, that it is God who comes to us. And so today we're looking at Luke 1, 8 through 17. We're not going to look at all of it. We're going to be focusing on verses 11 to 17, and we'll probably spend 2 days here. I'm not positive, but probably. And so let me read this text again. This is Zechariah getting ready to burn the incense, and then the angel comes and speaks to him, an angel of the Lord. So now, while he was serving as priest before God, when his division was on duty, according to the custom of the priesthood, he was chosen by lot to enter the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And the whole multitude of the people were praying outside at the hour of incense. And there appeared to him an angel of the Lord, standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And Zechariah was troubled when he saw him, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard. And your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. And you will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth. For he will be great before the Lord. And he must not drink wine or strong drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even from his mother's womb. And he will turn many of the children of Israel, to the Lord their God. And he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready for the Lord a people prepared." So we have the angel coming and talking to Zechariah, and there appeared to him, to Zechariah, an angel of the Lord standing on the right side of the altar of incense. Now, I just want to remind you that this was a very special time in Zechariah's life. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he went in there and he was offering the incense and praying for the people and asking for God's presence and God's blessing to be upon the people, and for the sacrifices to have been efficacious on behalf of the people. And when the angel comes, Zechariah was troubled when he saw him, and fear fell upon him. And I just want you to realize that this is normal. This is a normal response when you encounter an angel of the living God. We have this view of angels that they're cute and cuddly kind of a thing. That's seeped into the modern conscience of the United States. And nothing could be further from the truth. They are beings of great majesty and power. And they are, I am sure, I have not encountered one that I know of. They can clothe themselves in disguise, but when they come in power, they would be fearful. And yet the angel says to him, as all angels say to God's people when they appear to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah." So the angel is calming Zechariah's fears. He's saying, I'm not here to harm you. Now, remember, angel is a messenger. The word literally means messenger. It's the Greek word angelos, and it is from the Greek word angelos, which means messenger, that we get the English word angel. And so He's a messenger from God, and the message that God has is, Zechariah, don't be afraid, for your prayer has been heard. Now, I don't know that Zechariah was praying at that moment in his advanced years that he would be able to have a child. Perhaps he was. We have one video for children where Elizabeth reminds Zechariah to pray for a child when he's on his way out the door. That's it's a flight of fancy. It's possible. I am sure that Elizabeth in her barrenness has been suffering under great ridicule and persecution, and people would perhaps assume of her and of her husband that they had been unfaithful in some way, and this was God's punishment. And so it's quite possible that Elizabeth would ask her husband to pray for that, and perhaps he did. Regardless of whether or not he had prayed for it right then, I am sure that Zechariah and Elizabeth both had prayed to have a child, specifically a son, because that would have been a very common custom among the people. And so the angel says, don't be afraid, your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. You shall call his name John. I wrote down what that meant once upon a time, and now I don't remember what I wrote down. But the name itself is not perhaps as important as the fact that he is being named by God. God has chosen the name for Zechariah's son. God is choosing to bless Zechariah and Elizabeth, and he is choosing the name of blessing that will be upon him. And then verse 14, and you will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth. This is as far as I want to go today. You will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth, for he will be great before the Lord. So we're gonna kind of stop there, but I want you to see once again that God's blessings are to bring joy and favor to us. They're not necessarily blessings of prosperity, of wealth, of material things, but God's presence and God's power and God's falling upon our life should bring joy, should bring a sense of peace and well-being. And we're going to see, obviously, for this man and this woman who are advanced in years, the thought of having a child, aside from being probably terrifying, would be very exciting. It would be good news. Something that they had longed for was going to be fulfilled. They were going to have a child in their old age. And the curse and the aspersions that had been spoken against them would be lifted. They would once again have favor and be looked upon with gladness by those around them instead of skepticism. And so this is a true gift from God. And I want you to know that God's true gifts come with that kind of joy and with that kind of blessing, and people will rejoice with you. As you go through this season, would you do me a favor? And would you look for the blessings of God? Would you look for the places where the joy of the Lord comes upon you? Would you be intentional to seek the moments of wonder and majesty and mystery? The moments when you feel the closeness and the freshness and the newness of God. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Pay attention and look for the gifts that God will give to you, for they will bring you joy, and those around you will rejoice with you. God bless you today.